right? But like
Yeah,
many other people, it's also stress, man. When we get stressed, when we're anxious, food is very comforting. Food helps to calm down that
definitely.
stress. If we're depressed, food helps to give us a little bump up, makes us feel a little better, right? And so oftentimes we're like, why can't I do the thing that the buff guy says on YouTube? Why can't I do what David Goggins is telling me to do and just go out and run 40 miles on my first day, right? And it's because oftentimes we have these emotional barriers. And so something needs to happen with that anxiety, something needs to happen with that depression, something needs to happen
Sure.
with that celebration in order to make this process of changing how we eat, changing how we exercise in a better way.
Welcome, everyone, to the Lion Counseling Podcast. I'm Mark Odland, founder of Lion Counseling and certified EMDR Therapist.
And I'm Zack Carter, counselor and coach.
And our mission is to help men to break free, to heal deep, and to become the lions they were created to be. Well, if you've ever felt stuck, like you know what to do to lose weight, but you can't seem to do it, this episode is for you. A lot of podcasts out there will tell you how to eat better and exercise more, but few will actually talk about the real reason that we stay stuck, our thoughts and our emotions. And so today we're going to dig deep into the mental and emotional barriers that sabotage our progress and show you how to break through them so that you can finally move forward in your health journey. Make sure to hang on till the very end, because we try to give you guys practical advice and ideas on how to think about these things, how to put our principles into action. And since you're already here, if you could hit that subscribe button, we'd really appreciate it. Helps us get the word out to more guys. All right, Zach, let's jump in.
Be the lion you was destined to be. Born ready for the war, now my effort is free. The level's been set, time to wrestle the beast. Testing my G, it's getting heavy indeed. The struggle I embrace now, never retreat. I see the test as a blessing indeed. I'm taking steps on the treacherous peak. Now it's destined to be. I'm on my destiny's feet.
So yeah, how do we think about this? It's so interesting to think about the saturation of material out there on how to lose weight, right? And I know it's not applicable to us having 5% body fat, so it's just like, I don't know.
3%.
3%. Actually, I have no body fat. I'm in the hospital.
0%.
Yeah. So obviously we're not going to pretend to be a dietitian. We're not going to pretend to be a nutritionist. But that's not really what we're going for here. We've got people who have these these fields of expertise, but you can have all the information in the world, but if you get sabotaged, right, by the emotions, by the thoughts, by these different things that get in the way, we can't take it anywhere. So yeah, let's dive in a little bit, Zach. How do we think about these things?
Yeah, let's start with me, man. I grew up, I was a chubby kid, dude. Like, I was real chubby. I got teased for it. And, I turned 16, and there's this girl, man, and I thought she was cute. I was really into this girl, and I was like, I can't ask this girl out looking the way I look, man. And so I took a year, and I cleaned up my eating. I exercised. I lost 50 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Too much weight is what I lost. I went too far. My grandmother was like, "Are you eating? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine, Grandma. Leave me alone." Yeah, man. And ever since that, I kept it off for a few years, and then started gaining it back. I started dating my wife at the time, and you start dating people and you start gaining weight again. You're like, I wasn't just eating my food, I was eating like half her plate. She's like, I'm done with this. Do you want this? And then suddenly I start gaining weight. It's weird. This has been a topic that's been near and dear to my heart for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I really kind of wanted to lay out, what are good motivators? What are things that hold us back from actually making the change? And so
Sure.
First off, let's go to the cognitive behavioral therapy graph. Okay, so I've got that pulled up. And so as a therapist, whenever a person presents me their problems, this graph is kind of in the back of my head, right? And so what we see is we got the behaviors at the top. So the person's coming to me and saying like, I want to change my behavior, right? I don't want to eat as much, or I want to work out more, whatever it is. Oftentimes they're hyper focused on the behaviors, but they're not really thinking about the thoughts and feelings. And so in the back of my head, I'm like, what are the thoughts that are leading to this behavior? What are the feelings, right? And so let's talk about me for a second. Let's talk about feelings and why food was difficult for me to control and sometimes can still be a problem. And that's that Friday rolls around, time to celebrate, right? My eating is pretty clean Monday through Thursday, but then when the weekend hits, I'm like, work hard, play hard, let's go. And so I'm eating insane amounts of calories, right? At one point, just to show you how many calories I was eating, at one point, to lose a little weight, I trained and ran a marathon, didn't lose a single pound. Didn't lose a single pound because I was eating Chinese food all the time, right? And so, like, what the heck is going on there, right? What's going on there? Well, you know, like many people, food is very comforting for me, right? And so, like, part of it can be celebration, right? So, what do we have at graduations? Cake, right? What do we have at birthdays? Cake. What do we have? You know, Thanksgiving, right? It's typically not cake, but lots of pies, right? And lots of other good food. So like when we're enjoying something, usually good food is involved, right? And so my brain attaches celebration to eating, right? Good feelings with eating, right? And so that's like part number one for me, right? But like many other people, it's also stress, man. When we get stressed, when we're anxious, food is very comforting. Food helps to calm down that stress. If we're depressed, food helps to give us a little bump up, makes us feel a little better, right? And so oftentimes we're like, why can't I do the thing that the buff guy says on YouTube? Why can't I do what David Goggins is telling me to do and just go out and run 40 miles on my first day, right? And it's because oftentimes we have these emotional barriers. And so something needs to happen with that anxiety. Something needs to happen with that depression. Something needs to happen with that celebration in order to make this process of changing how we eat, changing how we exercise in a better way. Mark, have you ever struggled with food or working out, or have you had clients, and what did you do?
Of course. Well, I think it's so fascinating because a lot of the principles you're talking about from a CBT perspective, they actually do overlap with my work doing EMDR therapy with guys. And you rightly nailed that issue of celebration, how our brain can associate, besides just the physiological relief that we get from eating sugary, salty, fat food, right? It seems primal. It seems very deep within us, right? Our ancestors, they got lucky enough to kill that animal or find those berries. They gorged themselves, right? I mean, they just went to town because they didn't know when their next meal might be. It might be 2 days, it might be 3 days. And now we live in this quote unquote civilized world where we're disconnected from where we get our food, and we have a million options at the grocery store, and it's just right there for us, right? And our brain says, I know how to feel good right now, right? And what I found is when I do an assessment with clients, celebration is one of the big ones, right? It's because it's not just the physiological dopamine response in our body, but it's also that emotional response of wanting to celebrate, to feel I'm good enough. I did a good job. I deserve this. It could also be I'm in control. It can also be I'm loved. So take a basic human need in the form of an I statement, and any one of those things can get fused to food depending on our life experiences. So coming back to me, right? Struggling. Like I actually went to a literal EMDR workshop on this kind of thing, and they had us break off in pairs, and then they had us think to ourselves, what's like your earliest positive memory around food, right? And they thought about, what's the biggest struggle you have around a behavior or food, right? And I was thinking, you know what? Man, I love those cheese and crackers. I love to sit down in front of the TV at night after the kids are in bed. I'm going to eat those cheese and crackers and it's going to feel great, right? And it's like this little ritual. But it wasn't great. It's not great for me, right? And then, so in the exercise at the training, they said, okay, now tap into the feeling. Even if it's totally irrational, what's the feeling you get about yourself besides the physical comfort? I'm like, yeah, this feels kind of weird. Kind of seems silly to say it, but yeah, it's kind of this like I feel loved and accepted feeling. And then you go, okay, just let your mind drift back to one of the earliest times you felt that way. And it was sitting in front of the TV with my dad, watching the ball games, watching the Twins. And it was a comforting memory. I felt connected to my dad. I felt loved. And we're watching TV. Surprise, surprise. Now my mind is like it knows this pathway to kind of almost recreate the memory that has positive relational associations. And for any of us who are blessed to have a grandma who could cook really good, man, there's so many grandma memories that are like, sorry, grandma, you set us up for a lifetime of like interesting associations with food because it felt like love, right? It felt like love when she made that mashed potatoes and gravy, or she made the casserole. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah. And, thanks for the diabetes, Grandma.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the funniest thing is my grandma was like super tiny and like just, super trim, and she would just kind of nibble as she was eating, and then she'd give food away to other people. Right. It's how it
But
goes.
everybody else was like struggling with their weight. Like, why am I 40 pounds overweight? Because Grandma nibbles and passes the rest to us.
There's that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that I mean, the humorous side, I think there's a lot of power in those emotions, right? And if we're really honest with ourselves and we really take the time to dissect the complex emotions and positive beliefs around food, there's something there that, for most of us. And what I validate for people is it's normal to want to feel healthy pride in a job well done. It's normal to want to feel loved. It's normal to want to have some sense of control. We just don't want that to be arbitrarily fused to eating, because then it gives us the illusion of these things in a way that actually can be destructive to our health instead of build us up, right? Yeah. And so the truth is, eating cheese and crackers at midnight does not make me loved. Hate to break it to myself or
to
anyone else out there, but it feels like it. So a better path would be like, okay, let's let go of that lie. Right, and let's actually talk to someone who actually loves me instead of sitting alone watching infomercials, right? So there's half of it's awareness, and then it's how do you break it. That's another thing.
That's good, man. Cognitive behavioral therapy, we call that emotional reasoning. Like sometimes things feel true, but they're not logically true. So I like how you're differentiating between the truth and the lie. I know that's big into EMDR. Well, everything you said is like really well thought out. Let's move to thoughts as well. So we're talking about associations with emotions and food and how that can be very difficult. Next, we've got the thoughts that hold us back. One of the ones that you said that I think it was very powerful was, I deserve this, right?
Yeah.
End of the week, that one hit home for me. I'm like, yeah, dude. Time to get that tortilla chips and cheese and like some like ice cream, right? Like, and just like you said, I'm like thinking through my head, I'm like, where does this come from? And like, that's what we were doing. Like, it wasn't cheese and crackers for us, right? My dad was Puerto Rican, so it was like tortilla chips for everything, like with my chili, with my salsa, with everything, like tortilla chips abound. And so definitely I deserve this. I'm sure for many people, it can be things like, I need this, right? That if we don't have healthy coping mechanisms, it's I need this. Another thought that comes to mind for me for a lot of people is when they decide that they actually want to make the change, they engage in what we call all or nothing thinking, right? So New Year's comes around. All right, bro, I'm going to work out 2 hours a day every day. I'm never missing a day, and I'm eating nothing but kale. I don't even like kale, but like that's all I'm gonna eat. That's all I'm eating for the next 6 months. And like maybe a day in, we're like, no, I'm back to my nachos and cheese, right? And so, like, what do we do about that? And, like, I'm sorry if you've been listening to all these videos and it feels like we're saying the same thing over and over again, but it's because it's literally true that oftentimes we don't start where we quote unquote should be, where would be ideal. Where we start is what we're actually capable, what we're actually willing to do. I was just watching a video on fitness recently, and he's like, same thing Dave Ramsey says about finances. You start with the smallest debt and then build up. This guy was like showing pictures of all the different body types from like really obese to like a little bit obese to like kind of sort of fit to a little bit more fit to even more fit to like shredded. And he was saying you don't go from obese to shredded. And that's what we want to do. We're like, hey, fast forward me to shredded, right? I want to look like freaking Thor. It's like, no, that's not, you have to take it in small segments at a time, right? So that all or nothing thinking can really hold us back. So what, any ideas about what you've noticed about thoughts either in yourself or in others that holds them back from either losing weight or exercising more?
Well, I think, and I think it's stuck out to me when you said the idea from being this overweight to being like shredded like Thor. And I think my first thought is actually that's interesting because it could be that in its own way, the shredded guy is dealing with some health issues, just like the guy who's got some pounds to drop. Because there's a trend, this is pointed out in the Modern Wisdom podcast recently, but that it's trending in such a way where body dysmorphia, which is a mental health diagnosis about not seeing your body accurately, thinking that you're too heavy when you're not, thinking that you're ugly when you're not, things like that, right? Right now it's tips more heavily toward women, but it's trending in such a way where male diagnosis of body dysmorphia might overtake that within the next 10 years. And so there's something to be said where like, yeah, you could be that guy who is an influencer, who is shredded, who seems like he's got it all together. But man, I don't know his story. I don't know how emotionally healthy he is. You know, there can be struggles with health in the bodybuilding community for sure, taxing on the body, some of the things they do. And so I think one of those questions you talk about thoughts is in my wife, Rachel, who's a certified wellness coach, has kind of enlightened me on some of this, is the idea of most of us want to say, I want to drop 10 pounds. That's like a common thing to say when you start counseling or coaching. I want to drop 20 pounds. That might be a great goal. It might be a healthy goal for you. But not all of us actually understand why we're doing it. We just have this sense that we would somehow be a better person, somehow look better, somehow, you know, but it's kind of like, but really why? Like what is the core underneath this, right? And if it's just I feel bad about myself, sometimes that doesn't have the staying power. And we've talked about this in other podcasts as well. So for me, it's like, well, okay, if I wanted to drop 10 pounds, maybe it's because I would feel more confident if I was a little trimmer. But maybe a better reason is, or an equally good reason is that, and I want to live a long and healthy life, so I can be around for my kids and grandkids, right? I'd like to think that motivation, if I can keep my focus on it, is going to be more powerful than something that might be a little more superficial. And so I'm not knocking people who take beauty and take aesthetics seriously as an artist. I get that. But if it's so far in that direction, you know, you kind of start to border on some obsessive or unhealthy thinking sometimes too.
That's so well said. And I'm so glad you went that direction. Because so in the example that I gave, like, it was birthed out of insecurity. Like, I'm not good enough to ask this girl out when I'm 16.
Right.
Until I lose the weight. Right. And so, you know, I have a buddy that I'd been working out for years with. And when you ask him why he works out, he looks great. Like, he's really fit. He looks great. He's like, because I know afterwards I'll feel good. I'll feel better. And so it's like a mental health thing for him. He knows that, like, if I go work out, he's like, I never regret a workout. And I've noticed the same thing in my life because I've like taken time to like pay attention. Like, how do I actually feel? I do feel more confident.
That's a great point.
I do feel more positive emotions. I do feel more calmer, right? And so sometimes we have to like get ourselves to like, okay, right now I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like eating right. But if you get yourself to do it, you pay attention to the after effects, you usually feel better after, right? And so that's actually a realistic goal, that I'm going to do this because I'm going to feel better versus I'm going to do this so I can get a six pack. If you do that, you get discouraged when you don't see the six pack, and then all of a sudden you quit, right? Because we want immediate gratification, right? And so sometimes what we need to do is think through like, how is this going to affect me in the medium to long term that benefits me to the medium to long term? Because we're so focused on feeling good now, right?
Right.
And that gets back to eating poorly. I want to feel good now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love that, Zach. I think that's powerful because it's also kind of back to your cognitive behavioral stuff. It's sometimes the motivator that drives us is, if I do this, then someday I'll achieve this. I mean, if I have a six pack, then I'll be happy. Probably not, actually. I might be cool, but it's kind of weird if you're showing your buddies all the time. Like, we get it, dude. We got your six pack.
Yeah.
How'd it go on your date? Well, I showed her my six pack and she didn't call me back. Like, oh, so it came off the wrong way. Okay. It's like, so you need to actually know how to talk to people. You need to have some depth. Like, oh yeah, there's other things besides the six pack that make you like marketable in the dating field, right?
Right.
So it's like there can be a false assumption. Like, if you were to say, having a six pack might slightly increase my odds of getting a date if I work on these other things too. Okay, that might be more in the realm of reality, but yeah. So a little bit of a tangent there, Zach. But
no, that's perfect.
What you got next for us?
Yeah, no, I mean that's true. That I think, and I think that's a lot of things in life that we expect that the results will be far greater than they actually will, right? We expect that like six pack equals I get the girl of my dreams. And it's like, so if you don't get the girl of your dreams, does that mean you need to stop working out now? Like, it's what is the ultimate goal? And that's why it's like, hey, maybe we need to, the goal needs to be things that are actually achievable, that are actually attainable. I'm going to do this because it's going to make me feel better after.
Yeah.
And sometimes that might not be the case. Maybe it makes you feel like that much better and you were hoping for like that much better, and it's like, okay, well then aim for that feeling that much better. So, if you're listening and you're looking for a place to start, right? I love what you were saying earlier, Mark, around thinking through, okay, what do I feel when I have these meals? Like, what are the emotions? And you said safe, loved, cared about, right? And where did you first feel that? And so like actually dig into where that comes from, right? That's a really good place for our listeners to start. So I would encourage you listening here today. I'm going to do it myself. I think that's a great activity. So I'm going to think through like, oh man, what is it about chips? And my brain was already turned. I was like, oh yeah, I was with my family. Like we were always eating like tortilla chips. And so like now if I have a hard week, it's like, all right, give me some tortilla chips. Like that means I'm loved. So I'm gonna have to think through that. So that's where you can start today to kind of like begin the process of maybe actually moving towards the goal of eating healthier, exercising more, actually doing the things that you're watching on all these YouTube channels and wherever else you're getting your content. So
yeah. All
right.
I love that, Zach. I mean, that's so, and I was just thinking too, as a parting thought, for our guys out there who their faith is important to them too. I mean, there's that verse that came to mind about do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you? Honor God with your bodies, right? So that's another motivator. If you're struggling to find a motivation and you're a person of faith, it's kind of like, just like we want to take care of our house, just like we want to take care of our car, take care of our family, we take care of our bodies, and it's an act of stewardship, right? It's an act of being entrusted with what we've been given in this life, and to know that if it's healthy, it's not going to be perfect, but if we can keep moving toward health, moving toward wholeness to the best of our ability in this broken world, that's an honorable thing and a good thing to strive for. So yeah. Cool. So all that being said, I mean, if anyone out there is looking for help, escapethecagenow.com. Zach and I provide counseling and coaching services where we can go deeper into these things in a more personalized way, unique to your story. And we're always happy to do that free consultation over Zoom or phone if you want to test the waters and just see if it's a good fit. And if you're still listening, throw down a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on these things, and we're always grateful if you'd subscribe, hit that bell, help get the word out to more guys. So, any closing thoughts, Zach, or are we
Yeah, just doubling down on, if you guys need help, just reach out to escapethecagenow.com, and we're still taking on clients and people who need coaching, whether it's counseling or coaching. And so if you need that help, please reach out either at that website or in the link below.
Perfect. All right, Zach. Well, thanks so much for all the great information, and thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye, everybody.